Listen, you have something to say and somebody needs to hear it. But you have questions. You're like, what's my podcast going to be about? Do I know enough? Listen, to keep showing up and talking about this thing and sharing the value that I have. You even ask yourself, who's going to listen to me? I have no idea who that is. Listen, I just want to, let me share this quote with you. This is actually a philosophical question. If a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? Now listen, the philosopher actually said, yes, somebody hears it because God's everywhere. Okay, well, I have a question for you. If you have thoughts and experiences and creativity that you never share, does it impact others? I couldn't hear you. That answer would be no. Of course, through you just doing it, but does it impact others to help them be better in that field of expertise that you have? No, there is someone waiting for you. You have something to say and someone needs to hear it. I'm just saying. Joe, what do you think?
Well, before I give what I think, I gotta say who we are, because that's Marion.
Ha! And that's Joe.
And I am a podcast pro.
Did you say parole?
Pro. That's right. I did. You had to put a little emphasis on it. A little stank
I see
on
that.
it.
I see that. Parole. And in that pro, there is a P, a R, and an O. That P is purposeful. Share your purpose. R is resilient. See your purpose in the problem. Listen, you're a problem solver. That O is outstanding. Purposefully stand out as your amazing self.
That's right. That's right.
Let's get to it, Joe.
Yeah. So we saying something, and we are encouraging you to say something. Because the bottom line is, it's very easy to give up on yourself. It's very easy to allow other people to give up on you. But you can't give up on yourself, because the moment you do, you take yourself out the game. You take away your voice from the forest, so to say. So you have to be able to put your voice out there in order for somebody to hear it, because even if nobody hears it at the moment that tree falls, so to say, that doesn't mean that the tree didn't fall. So you got to be able to make sure that you are the falling tree in the forest, and that you make the sound and that you make the impact. Because I mean, that's another thing about a tree falling in the forest. Not only does it make a sound, but it makes an impact. And that's the key thing that we are here to really help you to understand, is how to make your impact with what you say. And you got to say something with meaning. You got to say something with purpose. And that's what we're really tackling tonight, is the whole thing with purpose. And the first step in finding your voice and really determining your purpose as a podcaster, as a radio show host, as a media personality, the first thing is you got to commit. You got to decide and say, what's my podcast going to be about? And in that decision, it can be tough, because there's so many podcasts. There's so many podcasts out here. We're not going to hold you.
Even on what we're doing right now, there are so many podcasts
Yeah.
that are for podcasters,
Mm-hmm.
but they're coming from so many different angles.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And that's the key. We had to, as we rolled this podcast out to help fellow podcasters out there to really sharpen your craft, we had to figure out, okay, what was going to be our approach to things. And I think what we have to get to the heart of first is the issue that a lot of people run into when it comes to figuring out what they want to do, what they want to talk about. It's like, oh, I don't know what I want to talk about. Do I want to just focus on one thing? Do I want to focus on more than one thing? Do I want to focus on everything? Whatever comes to mind, I don't know what to do. People allow themselves to become handcuffed by that. Or they allow themselves to become handcuffed by the fact that, oh, well, there's so many podcasts about sports, or there's so many podcasts about music, or there's so many podcasts about politics or relationships or religion or whatever it might be that you feel like there are one too many podcasts about. And the bottom line is, okay, don't let those things handcuff you. Start it. Decide that you're going to do it. What I've come to realize, and I feel like, Marion, you'll be able to relate to this as well. The rest will figure itself out, or rather, God will help you to figure the rest of this out. Once you actually make the decision to say, you know what, I have this idea for a podcast. So I know I want to do a podcast. Let me just decide today, this day, that I'm going to figure out what needs to be figured out in order to make it mine. Because at the end of the day, you have to make it yours. You have to put your unique stamp on it in terms of, regardless of how many topics are being talked about, there's only one you.
Ha!
There's only one you. You are a one of one. There wasn't another one made of you. Nobody's going to be able to look at whatever topic it is from your particular vantage point and talk about it in the way that you're going to be able to talk about it. Or maybe you don't have one thing. Maybe you're like me. When I created the Balance and Ag Radio Show in 2018, I specifically set out to not have one topic, to not be linear in what I talked about, because I wanted to remain open. I knew that I served in a community of people who had a wide range of interests. They weren't just interested in sports. They weren't just interested in music. They weren't just interested in pop culture. They weren't just interested in politics. They weren't just interested in racial issues. They weren't just interested in economics. They were interested in everything. Because when it comes down to it, we as humans are interested in a wide range of things. So why limit my community to just talking about one thing? That was my approach. I'm not saying that has to be everybody's approach, but that was what made sense for me. That I didn't want to get caught up in just saying, oh, I just want to talk about music all day. I don't want to just talk about music all day. I'm an artist, but I don't want to talk about music all day. I love sports. I love football is my favorite sport. I don't want to talk about football all day. You know, like I have a political science degree. I don't want to talk about politics all day. I wanted to make sure that I had the freedom to roam in a wide variety of directions. And for me, because my show was called The Balancing Act, it was a matter of balancing out all of those things to show that we as humans are layered. We're not just one thing all the time. None of us are. That was the whole point of the podcast. Once I made that decision to say that's the theme of my podcast, and that on top of that, even if other people are talking about these things, they're not going to talk about them in the way that I talk about them, because I know how I think, I know how I move, I know how I present topics, not only just because I'm just a different person, but because I have a certain level of experience. I had the journalism background that kind of sort of helped to train me in a certain way. I had the artistic background because I didn't want to talk about rap topics in the same way that a lot of other people talked about. I didn't come from a certain background, so I couldn't talk about the same thing as some of my favorite rappers. So I had to do something that was going to make sure that whatever I talk about, I had to make the decision to say, I'm going to make this song, but I'm going to make it in my own special way. And somebody out there is going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
But I first had to commit to actually putting it out there. I had to be brave enough and bold enough to say, you know what, we're going to do this, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, Marion, when you came up with Confident You podcast, what was your commitment decision process? What did that look like?
My commitment decision process was confidence. That was the commitment. I said, okay, I want to make sure that whomever I bring on is cultivating confidence in whatever that field is that they have expertise in. Like I had on the Trademark Queen, El-Elyon, episode 17.
Yeah.
And it was just protect your business with a subtitle, no, really protect your business. And she came on and expounded on trademarking. I didn't know anything. I found out things through my research.
Yeah.
And then had a great conversation on the things that I found out with her, just straightening out my understanding, which perfectly straightened out anyone who goes and sees that evergreen materials understanding on trademarking. And then I went from trademarking to the infidelity, the affair recovery coach, Briaina Latrice, surviving infidelity, episode 33. She on Confident You, she like that was a comeback for her. She came back and did that episode with me because her impact the first time was so phenomenal that my community was asking, yo, can you bring her back and have her talk more on this aspect of what she does as an affair recovery coach. And then I had Mr. High Life on, Living the High Life. Listen, the title will have you thinking so many things. You really need to click on to episode 27 to know what does he mean by living the high life. And then he followed it up with how to lose.
Yeah.
Literally, how to lose. Everybody wants to lose weight. Who wants to lose weight? Well, that's what he got into. How he lost so much weight during that year. I can bring him back on how he's keeping it off. Those are topics that people want to know, but it's all under the umbrella of confidence.
Yeah.
So those are things. I found that there were steps. There were steps that I had because I had so much in my mind. I had to realize, okay, I'm going to have to pick something. So I wrote down the top 5 things that I was interested in because I knew I needed to start somewhere. I needed to start with that one. So I wrote down those top 5. And then I defined my why.
Yeah.
What value will I bring in what I put by number 1? What value will I bring in what I put by? It helped me just to keep niching down until I got to, okay, let me do a test clip.
Yeah.
Let me just turn on my recorder and just see what can I share on this topic. And then when watching it back, I could hear the excitement in my voice. I could see the excitement in me. I could see that my wheels were just constantly turning while the camera is on, much like as we do here on I Am a Podcast Pro, because our mission is to go behind the mic, to cultivate the person, to cultivate their voice, their thinking, their process of being a guest, a host, a presenter, as you said, in all levels of media. So it's just you have to just decide.
That's right.
Deciding, the crazy thing about deciding is, guess what? You want to give it. I decided I was going to be committed and I was going to give it my all for this amount of time. I picked a
Yes.
duration of time and I said, I'm going to give it my all for this amount of time. I'm going to work out the glitches and get there the best way I can to the value that I want to bring,
Hmm.
with the
Absolutely.
understanding that I knew I could change it anytime I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Could you hear
Mm-hmm.
me? I
Yes.
could change it anytime I wanted
You
to.
had you had to hammer down on that point right there.
That's what made me move past perfectionism. Like, no, it's
Mhm.
got to be this and it's got to be that. But I wanted to listen, decide,
Hmm.
and
That's right.
start.
That's right.
Start, even if you just go live for a minute
Hmm.
and then raise it to 2 minutes talking about that thing. And
Yeah.
then say, yo, I got my friend. I know somebody, and we have great conversations on this topic.
Yep.
So we're gonna go live for 20 minutes. We're gonna go
Hmm.
live for 30. And then after that, it's like, oh, well, I could do a podcast. You know, there are some podcasts that are 5 minutes, 10 minutes,
Yep.
15 minutes. There are some that are
Hmm.
hour. There's some that are 2 hours. Start where you're comfortable
That's right.
and
That's
build
right.
and grow.
Hmm.
Did I say build and grow?
You did.
Because
You
number
did.
two,
Nice segue.
yes, is cultivate,
Yes.
build and grow. Don't let the question of, do I know enough, push pause in you and stop you from sharing the value that you have. Don't let you looking at other people's podcasts or other people's presentations or hearing other people on their radio show, whatever that media platform is, blog, whatever it is, where you feel this is a space where I can share my voice. Do not allow imposter syndrome to stop you or to alter you. Stop you in the way of, you know what? Since I can't do it like them, I don't think I should be doing this.
Hmm. Mm.
Push,
Mm.
push you to another side. That's push pause. Push you to another side in terms of, well, I like the way they do it. So I'm going to do it like they do it.
Mm.
Listen, did you know that Richard Pryor, the comedian, literally started out telling jokes like Bill Cosby?
Yep. Yep. Which is wild.
This man said he was overwhelmingly uncomfortable in his
Mm.
own skin.
Yeah.
He said he got tired of the monotonous way that he had to robotically move, telling the same jokes the same way to make sure he was hitting all the points, listen, to imitate someone else.
Yeah.
That someone else told him, hey, bruh, you just need to be yourself.
Yes.
Just be yourself.
Hmm.
And we're talking about two amazing, while I say comedian, amazing storytellers.
Yes.
Amazing storytellers. Some
Yeah.
people tell a story and you're like, okay, those details you just gave, they didn't match up to anything amazing.
Right.
But the details they give in the story, it puts you there. You can literally, you're looking at them and my wife in the kitchen and she cooking and you can see it.
Hmm.
You're there. You're
Yeah.
there with Richard Pryor
Yep.
when he was talking about the tragic things that happened in his life, but finding the silver lining and finding the humor to be able to share his story in a way where he could not only make you laugh, he could laugh at himself.
Yes. Yes.
That's what cultivating and growing is. When you see someone else's, you don't go to imitate them, you let it inspire you
That's right. That's right.
to tell your experience and your life story.
Mm-hmm.
You let it inspire you. You hear someone, there's no one that agrees with everything that another person says. There is no one that's 100%. I agree with everything you say. No, I agree with this, but I will also add this. Or I
Yes.
agree to this degree, but I would say it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't agree. I
Right.
think it's this.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things you're going to cultivate and bring to your platform.
Absolutely.
That's where you feel like you don't know enough, so go learn more.
Mm-hmm.
But start with sharing what you already know. Start with sharing where you are right now.
That's right.
It's more than enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than enough to bring to the table and serve somebody. Give them number 3, Joe.
Yeah, but before I give them number 3, I want to say something about what you just said. So I know for myself, as like when I was creating the Balancing Act radio show and stepping out on my own, the 3 people that I had in mind who were my biggest inspirations, and they all kind of different in a lot of ways. Roland Martin, Teray, the journalist,
Uh-huh.
and Sway from Sway in the Morning.
Yes.
And Sway's universe, that everything that Sway has done in his career. These are all 3 different brothers
Very much
who
so.
go about things in 3 completely different ways. And it's not something that I tell a lot of people, just outwardly, because a lot of people don't know that about me. But those were really the 3 people that I looked to when it came to developing my brand and finding my own voice. But the way that Roland Martin approaches conversations, while it's cool for what he does, it's not my style. Teray, his approach to asking questions, I respect, and I pulled a little bit something from that. But the way that he even rolls out his questions, I don't roll out my questions in that way. And when it comes to being the personality on radio, I like Sway's positivity. I like his energy and everything. But even the way that he does things, I'm not Sway. And so it was like, for me, it was a matter of how can I pull from all 3 of these brothers, but still put it under the umbrella of my personality and what I do best and make it all make sense. So that, like, yes, I am inspired by what they do, but I don't mimic what they do. And that's really the key when it comes to cultivating and growing whatever it is that you do, is that you can pull inspiration from a wide variety of places. But at the end of the day, and what it always comes down to, what we will always preach to everybody watching right now, is that you have to put the you in the situation. That's the bottom line. You are the star of the show. You are who they come to see week in, week out, day in, day out, however frequently you do your podcast. You are the lead dog in the fight. And so you got to make sure that whatever you do, your stamp is on it at all times. At all times. And getting to number 3, segueing into number 3, you have to know what you contribute and how you serve your community. And so maybe a natural question, and I've asked myself this question multiple times: who will listen? And this is why it's so important for us to really drive home the point of specifically this episode and finding your purpose, and specifically finding your voice. Because when you ask yourself a question like who will listen, there can be a little self-doubt in terms of the power or the impact of your voice, even down to the way your voice sounds. I'll never forget when Centric was Centric, and now I think it's BET Her now. But back when it was Centric, they had this campaign with all of these different artists. And one of the artists was Chrisette Michele. And I'll never forget her saying, like, I think her mom was saying she heard her on the radio, and she was like, "That's what I sound like?" And then her mom was like, Maybe you don't know your own voice. And that's the key when it comes to what you contribute, how you serve, and who you're going to serve. Who's going to benefit the most from what you have to offer? Figuring that out. And being confident, going back to your confidence piece, Marion, being confident in not only the voice that you have, the voice that God has given you, that God has blessed you with, but specifically that your voice is the voice, or at least how you're being used, how you're being utilized. Your voice is the voice that could lead somebody out of darkness into their light. Your voice could be on a given day that voice that really balances things out, brings normalcy to somebody's chaotic world, gives them something that they weren't expecting to get on a given day. That's the power of what you contribute, how you serve. Once you tap into that and figure that out, there's no stopping you. There's no stopping you, because I can tell you from personal experience, that's something that was one of my biggest hangups. As not only a podcaster, but also as an artist. It was like, who's going to listen to me? Who's going to listen to me? Why would they listen to me? What makes my voice so special? What makes me so special? And how can I serve them? Like, what am I contributing? Like, what are they taking away from what I have to say? But once, the irony is that I had to be in a situation where I felt like my voice was being kind of muffled in order to kind of rise up and say, you know what? My voice does matter. And my particular situation was especially hard because this was when I started the Balancing Act radio show, this was the first show I started on my own. Any other show that I had ever done before that, it was somebody else's idea and I latched on to it. It was somebody else's idea and they invited me to be a part of it. So it was always don't wear out your welcome type of thing, or don't overstep too many boundaries. But once God set me apart and said, you know what, I got something greater for you. I got a greater purpose for you to fulfill. I have a greater community for you to serve. Once I got set out on that mission, all of that self-doubt that I may have had at different points in my life totally disappeared, because I made the decision. I committed to doing it. I cultivated what I had already been growing for years and years and years in radio, in blogging, in print journalism, and all of this different experience that I had in music, in creativity, in the relationships that I built with people. All of these different things just came together so that by the time it was time for me to contribute and serve my community as a radio show host, as a podcaster, I was able to give them something because I had been pouring into myself. God had been pouring into me. The people in my community had been pouring into me. So I couldn't hold it to myself anymore. I had to be able to speak out on certain things. I had to be able to give something tangible to people when they left every episode that they watched, that they listened to. I didn't want people to feel like they were wasting their time.
Yeah.
And that's because time is such an important commodity. Such an important commodity in what we do.
You all in my phone. I just text myself.
Well, come on with it.
I just text myself. Time is the most valuable commodity that we have. Everyone is chasing money.
Mm-hmm.
And time.
Yes.
Is the most valuable commodity. What are you doing with your time? You're worried about who will listen, or there was a time I was worried about who will listen. I had to realize I got to just be open to who's going to show up.
That part.
I got to be open to who's going to show up, because guess what? You can't always pinpoint who's going to
That's
be
right.
your audience.
That's
And
right.
if you're sitting there going, I know this person, I know this person, I know that person, you're going to be disappointed.
Ooh, say that again. Say that
You're
again.
gonna be disappointed
Ooh.
thinking that who you thinking about to be showing up for you.
Yeah.
No. Show up to serve, and they shall
Mhm.
come.
That it. There it is.
Don't
There it
worry.
is. There it
Do
is.
not worry. As long as
Hmm.
what you serving up is that good, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
They coming.
Yeah. That's right.
They're going to come.
Hmm.
You just need to be worried about cultivating yourself, Joe. I love that you just shared the way that you cultivated yourself was working on with other people, helping them build what they were building. But while you were helping them build what they were building, you were building.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That right there, priceless. You
Yeah.
don't, so let's say you don't, okay, I don't want to start my podcast. Okay, well, do you know somebody with one? Go
Hmm.
help them.
That's right.
Help them flush out their ideas. And don't
Hmm.
worry about, I don't want to give them my ideas. I used to think, I don't want to share my ideas, because then if I share my ideas, then somebody's going to steal them. Do you know ain't none of this ours, no way?
Right.
Can't
That
nobody
part.
steal nothing from you. Joe started it off so apropos when he said, there's only one.
Hmm.
You.
Hmm.
There's only one.
That's right.
So don't worry about, do you know when I share my thoughts with someone else,
Hmm.
the way that they come back with it, that's not how I was going to approach it.
That part.
So I'm not afraid to share, to
Hmm.
be in a mastermind and help other people and go, hey, you know what? It'll be good if you da 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 da. Guess what? We could do the same thing. I'm telling you right now. Ain't nobody gonna do that thing like I do it.
That's right.
Nobody.
Right.
Nobody.
Right.
No. When I say this runs all over the place. Nobody is gonna see what I'm seeing, the way I see it, the way I do it, the way I want to do it, the way I want to say it, the way I want to
Hmm.
display it. No one.
That's right.
No one, no one, no. You could give me the same. Do you know why they hold auditions? They can get the actresses or the actors the same script.
Hmm. Hmm. Come
You're
on
going to
now.
get that thing in so many different. They're looking for specifically what they imagined the
Yes.
person to look like. But guess what? You better give it your all, because you could probably outdo what somebody imagined.
To your point. To your point. Thurgood Marshall, the movie, when Chadwick Boseman played him. Chadwick Boseman don't look nothing like Thurgood Marshall. Nothing like him.
Nah.
But who else was going to nail that role? Who else was going to do it? You think about, I mean, all the people that Chadwick Boseman played, the rest, rest in paradise. But
Yeah.
I mean, James Brown,
Yeah.
Jackie Robinson,
Yeah.
T'Challa.
Ah.
you
Wakanda
know?
forever. Wakanda forever. What? And you
I'm
know
just
what?
saying.
It was his time
Hmm.
and it was his space. He
Yep.
wasn't afraid to commit to, listen, I act. And
Yeah.
this is how I do it.
Yes.
He
Yes.
wasn't afraid to cultivate. He went to college to get that thing done. Then
Hmm.
he did so much to groom himself
Yeah.
to be T'Challa.
Hmm. Hmm.
And all of the other great roles that he just embodied.
That's right. That's right. But he went into each of those roles knowing nobody was going to play that role
Like,
better than him.
yeah,
Nobody.
that level of confidence is
Right.
what you want to, that's what we want to help you cultivate here.
Right. Right.
That's,
And
that's,
And we say it in a way, and let's be clear, we're not saying it in a way to be arrogant or cocky. We're saying it in a way, it's really from a spiritual perspective. God literally just put this on my heart. What is for you is for you. That's what God has for you. And can't nobody do it the way that God has assigned you to do it. That's the purpose of finding your purpose, finding your voice, is understanding that it's your assignment.
And faith without works is dead.
Come on now.
So if you know something, you need to share that stuff. It's like, oh, if they only knew this. You sitting in your room, in your house, or in your car, or you just looking around at people going, if they knew this, they would do it this way. If they knew that, call somebody. Hey, I want to be a guest. I want to be a guest on your podcast.
Yeah.
I want to get in those DMs. You got 2 right here. Go into confident you. Hey, I would love to be a guest. This is what I do. This is the experience. This is, you can follow me. You can see my social media. Whatever that is that you're able to share.
Yep.
Put yourself out there.
That's right. That's right. Shoot your shot.
Shoot your shot. All right. I think we have dunked all that we can dunk.
Give them a dunk.
Yeah. I'm excited. I tell you, after these episodes, we celebrate these things. It's just, we are here to go behind the mic to cultivate the person behind the mic.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
I'm honored.
Yes. So am I.
Tell them how they can reach us, Joe.
I mean, it's hard to end this thing, but
yes, it is.
We can always keep the party going. You can find us on social media. We on Instagram at I Am a Podcast Pro. We got a Facebook group, I Am a Podcast Pro with Marion and Joe. Join the Facebook group. Keep the party going there. You want to send us an email, you got a show idea, or you got a question you want us to answer on the show. We love answering questions on the show. We love being able to tackle topics for y'all because this is really what it's about. We do this for y'all. This ain't for us. This for y'all.
Nope. Yeah.
So if you have something, please feel free to email us. Email us at iamapodcastpro@gmail.com. And of course, please make sure that you like, comment. If you got value out of what you saw tonight or any episode that you've seen in the past, please make sure that you share the content and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure that you hit that bell notification so whenever we go live and post new content, you'll be among the first to know.
Hey, and we don't want to get out of here without you knowing. We want you to say something because we're not giving up on you.
Come on, boys.
This is part 1.
Yes.
Gotta tune in for part 2. See you next time.